Me whenever you're ready.
Sorry, Sarah, it started like abruptly. Yes, we are recording now.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so today, what are we going to talk about specifically? You're in the right place if you're interested in getting started with public speaking for the first time, or if you've already had experience and you just want to grow your skills. Most of the information is going to be pretty applicable to any industry, with the exception of where to source conferences and events. It should just be noted that some of this information is going to be specific to those in the technology industry. While this talk is primarily aimed at those who will be public speaking at in-person venues, you can also benefit if you're planning to speak at online or virtual events or recorded sessions. You can also find some value if you're a developer or someone in the tech space who's looking for new ways to build your personal brand and career. As for an agenda to know what to expect, in this talk, we're going to cover the basics of what benefits presenting can have for your personal growth and career. Then we'll review where you can source talk venues from and what that overall process looks like. Then we'll cover tips for creating, preparing for, and delivering your talk. And then go over some next steps on how to continue your journey to self-improvement. We'll finish up with a Q&A session so that way you can ask whatever questions you have and hopefully get some helpful answers. So why present? Why take the time to do it? And what benefits can come about as a result? A huge one is the networking opportunities that can follow. You have the chance to talk directly to groups or larger audiences and get your name out there. Each session that you present, you can end with a call to action for attendees to connect with you directly for more information, for questions, or for checking out a specific product, service, or brand. It's a marketing opportunity to get your name and your mission out there. Audience members will often reach out directly afterwards to connect with you one-on-one, and they can really grow your network size quite quickly and provide a valuable source of connections to others in the community. This doesn't just help them with getting on what they need, it can also help you, as you might be able to find others to collaborate with on shared goals or others to ask questions of to learn from their experiences. You'd also be part of diversifying the conference experience and showing others in tech that they can do it too. When I first attended open source conferences 12 years ago, there were no women speakers on tech subjects at many of the conferences I attended, and it was really disheartening. Open source felt like a really exclusive space to which I wasn't invited. You have an opportunity to change that perspective for others and ensure that all feel welcome by being one of those that breaks that barrier. Now for number 2, content. Pulling together research into slides and speakers' notes is a great starting point for coming up with other forms of content, like recorded sessions, blog posts, social media posts, and others. It gives you a platform to share your knowledge and accomplish different missions like, making the world a better place, or creating positive change, or just getting a product, brand, or business out there and known to others. It even helps improve your own communication skills when presenting content, both in written or spoken forms, which can help you in your personal life as well as in your career. Now, number 3, reputation. Your credibility is built the more content you put out there, whether that's through live presentations or short form types of content that you build around your presentations. You build trust with your network as you share your knowledge, especially as your network grows to rely on you for valuable information and insights. And all of this contributes to your personal brand, getting your name out there, getting your voice heard, giving you a platform to market yourself and your skills, and associating yourself in a positive way with your profession and industry, building your portfolio. Finally, all of it gives you valuable experience that can help you learn both technical skills and non-technical skills so you can apply in other areas of your life. Now, how do you actually find events to speak at? In person, you can find conferences, events, meetups, and even schools and universities close to you and further away, and look for opportunities to speak. They'll usually post on their website a call for papers or presenters, Or you might be able to reach out directly and make a connection, or even follow their social media channels to find out when they are looking for someone in particular to fill a particular spot. Online, you have a lot more flexibility in where and how you present. Many conferences and meetups have an online option as well for presenters and attendees. And you can either start your own or join someone else's YouTube channel, podcast, or LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook live sessions. You can also share your knowledge and use your speaking ability for leveraging the advantages we talked about previously, doing course creation, whether hosting it yourself on sites like Gumroad and other self-hosted options, or collaborating with a website like Pluralsight, LinkedIn Learning, Skillshare, Coursera, and many more. For more ideas, you can always search, for example, Coursera alternatives or something like that to find other options. As for sourcing local events, there's a couple different ways you can do this. A few different websites that are a great source of lists of developer conferences and events are ones like comps.tech and dev.events. You can find specific conferences by searching developer conferences or looking up specific kinds of software, technology, or missions combined with the conference keyword to find other venues like Python conference or Woman in Tech conference. Event websites like Meetup and Eventbrite are also going to have a good number of different in-person and online events that would be great to present at. And Facebook, Reddit, LinkedIn, and similar social websites will also have groups, pages, or other opportunities to find these kinds of events as well. There's even websites and mailing lists that help you find open CFPs, otherwise known as call for papers or presenters. PaperCall and Speaker House are two great websites for this, but you can search for call for papers or presenters along with specific technology or mission-related keywords to find more. Examples of this can be PostgreSQL call for papers, Women Tech Conference call for papers, and more. If you're really involved in a particular software or technology, you can find lists of community-approved events, usually on that community's website, like React, C++, and PostgreSQL are all examples of this, and I have linked their pages here for reference. Once you have some ideas of where you'd like to speak and what you want to speak about, it's time to start the actual process. We'll be going over tips on how to create, prepare for, and deliver your talk in the following slides, but overall, these are the steps you're going to follow. If you don't want to come up with talk topics and abstracts based on the conference, think about writing up a list of topics and abstracts first that you know you're going to want to present about. This saves you a lot of time during the actual application process, especially when sourcing conferences or meeting short deadlines after hearing about an opportunity last minute. Having a short bio already written up with a good profile picture to accompany it also helps, rather than having to come up with it on the spot. After you've found opportunities for places to speak at, apply at open CFPs or connect directly to the event organizers to find out if there's opportunities to participate. Once approved, you can create and prepare for your talk or reuse and update existing materials. Then deliver your talk and remember to own it with confidence. There's some things, of course, you're going to want to keep in mind as you actually create your talk. Let's go over these things together. First, you need to consider your venue. Research the event and get to know what they're looking for, what the conference is about, and what kinds of people are expected to attend. This makes a world of difference between getting your talk accepted and ensuring you'll get a good number of attendees to your talk. Then, make sure you're clear on the content direction of your talk. What do you want your audience to come away with afterwards? Who should you write the talk for, and who would benefit the most? What skill level should your audience have? These questions are all designed to help you consider what value you can offer your audience through the delivered talk, and help you answer the question, why should they care about attending? Taking this clarity and moving forward, you can then write a really good abstract for your talk that you can use to apply to different events and market yourself. Include key takeaways, write a concise summary of what you'll be talking about, and list out who the talk is for or who will benefit by attending. You want these individuals to see your talk and know it's for them, and understand why they should take the time to come. Make sure when you're writing your abstract to keep note of the word count. You can aim for between 75 to 200 words, but most places will have a recommendation that you can follow. The idea here is that you include enough detail that it's informational, and you don't keep it too short, but you also don't get too lengthy with writing it either. And of course, it's good to think about the title. It's your first introduction to your audience, and it's the first opportunity to hook them, so to speak. I don't really have a real recommendation here of a particular pattern or a magic spell you can use, but you can always ask yourself, would you want to attend this talk if you saw it on a conference schedule or if you saw it as an online event? When you write it, try to aim for something short and engaging. Now, when you're actually creating the talk, there's a couple options you can use. There's always the default options, of course, of Google Slides or Microsoft PowerPoint, but you also have alternatives like Slides.com, which is actually where this deck was created using one of their default templates. There's also Prezi or even developer libraries like Reveal.js, Impress.js, or LaTeX for a really impressive and customizable presentation. And there's tons of resources available online for how to use these to the best effect. Now that you've come up with an outline and a purpose for your talk, how do you actually prepare? The important question here is, what level of detail is going to be most helpful for you when using speaker's notes? You may notice the formatting of this slide is much different from all the rest. That's because I've given you an example of what my speaker's notes typically look like. You should note that memorizing your talk is probably not going to be a thing, ever. But it can help to write out everything the way you expect to talk. I tend to write out my script beforehand and ensure to highlight key points or mark them in bold to indicate emphasis or quickly make sure that I'm staying on track. These bullet points are an example of my script I'm using to read to you right now. The use of scripts helps in rehearsing beforehand and making sure you've covered all your key points in a clear way, which ironically, clear way is not very clear because it is apparently covered up in preview mode. But of course, you don't always need this exact level of detail. You can always build out bullet points to reference and speak freely as you desire. I've known others that use images or other visual prompts to help them as well. This is simply the process that I found that helps me the most. It's always worth experimenting to find whatever helps your presentation to flow. When you've found the right amount of speaker's notes that you need and have your slides built out with an idea of what you're going to say, it really does make a difference when you rehearse it beforehand. Even if you're really familiar with the topic, just running it through once on your own or with someone else can make a world of difference in making sure it flows well, covers everything you need it to, and makes sense. Practicing it with someone watching or listening in, or recording yourself and listening to it, can provide valuable insights into your presentation style that you can then use to improve and make small differences that add up to a much higher quality delivery. For example, when I first started giving talks, I recorded myself or would watch conference recordings after the fact. And I found that I often spoke too quietly, didn't pronounce words clearly, spoke really quickly, and used a lot of or sounds when thinking. With practice and consistency, I was able to get better at this. But had I not tried to acknowledge where I fell short, I would never have improved. I still have improvements to make for sure, and the journey is never going to end. So if you think you're an excellent presenter, maybe collect some feedback and assess yourself to see where you might be able to get even better and connect even more authentically with your audience. It pays out in the end by helping you deliver a better experience to your audience while also better representing your own brand and credibility. Speaking of, are you worried about your own credibility as you prepare your talk? Maybe you feel like you got in over your head or you weren't qualified enough to give the talk. Take a moment to realize you have nothing to be concerned about. If you don't know a subject as well as you thought, Go out and research. Find articles, white papers, peer-written posts, or discuss with colleagues to ensure a quality end product. Everyone in the world who is presenting at this moment has learned what they are talking about through experience, gained through research and practice. Do the same and you are just as qualified. As for the final step in the process, let's talk about actually delivering your talk to the audience. Your presentation will flow a lot better if you have someone introduce you and then you launch straight into your presentation, just like we did today. Don't start with a good morning and wait for a response. Try to greet your audience, introduce yourself, and get started. This helps the flow going right from the start. You can use pauses, emphasize words, and vary sentence length to keep the flow going naturally during your talk. You can engage your audience by asking questions or using icebreakers, mostly in person, but it does work online as well. Try taking risks, like trying new slide formats or doing interactive demos or changing up your speaking style. Only you know what the risk you're taking, not your attendees. Which leads into the next bullet point here: be confident when you speak. You're the expert here on this topic and no one knows otherwise, so own it. It will come across in your speaking style and really deliver, it will end up in a much better delivery overall. You will likely need water. After speaking for a while, it's common to start choking up or getting a dry mouth, so it can help to hydrate for flow of speech and even cognitive focus. If you do freeze up or forget what you're about to say, don't state that. Just take a moment to breathe and collect yourself. Maybe talk about a related story as you get back on track. Don't worry about how you're standing or moving your arms. Just try to breathe and act naturally the way you would in front of friends or family, or just how you would act looking at yourself in the mirror. And I can't emphasize this one enough. Don't read the slides word for word. Your audience isn't here to listen to you narrate the slides. So use the slides as a quick reference for them during and after the talk, and focus on different levels of detail when speaking. Overall, try not to stress. It's okay to mess up. When handling nerves, there are a couple suggestions I have that might help. Knowing your topic is, of course, the big one, because the more confident you feel in your expertise and the more prepared you feel for your topic, the less likely it is that you're going to be concerned about it on stage. Getting organized through the use of visual or written speaker's notes lend itself immensely to this feeling of being prepared and reducing nerves. And if you're overly stuck on the idea that you're going to mess up on stage, try to overcome it by visualizing yourself successfully delivering the presentation and what that looks like. Don't apologize if you think that you stuttered or messed up in some way. Just recover and move on. Your audience will forget it ever happened, if they even noticed. Try to focus on the material rather than your audience. And finally, like I did here, take a moment of silence if need be. You can take a deep breath, recollect yourself, and continue. Or even try box breathing, where you take 2 seconds to breathe in deeply, hold for 2 seconds, release for 2 seconds, pause for 2 seconds, and repeat. It's a great technique that's effective at calming nerves and helping get refocused. Typically, you'll do this for 4 seconds, but if you're presenting, cutting the time to 2 seconds works just as well. What's next? Practice, practice, practice. You're only going to get better by actually doing it, actually getting out there and presenting. You can do this in a couple different ways, right? You can offer to run meetings at work, start a speakers club at work for everyone to share internal knowledge with a team, or volunteer useful ideas at work meetings, using it as an opportunity to speak up and contribute ideas. You can find other free public speaking resources to continue your learning journey by searching on Google. I provided an example phrase here, but experiment and see what you come up with. There are free videos and courses, blog posts and articles, and discussions in forums like Reddit with a fabulous selection of experienced authors and presenters, putting these materials out there to help anyone looking to get better at presenting. Take advantage of this to keep growing. You can always join groups like this one hosting this webinar, who's running public speaking programs. And this group is also putting together a mentorship program to help pair those looking to learn and grow with experienced speakers. Other programs like this exist, and you can always reach out to someone in your own professional network to connect directly with someone you trust. And that's it. Thank you so much for attending or viewing this talk. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask during this Q&A session or reach out to me or the group organizer directly via LinkedIn. I'd be happy to connect with you. What questions does everyone have?
Sarah, first I want to thank you. This was really, really good because I could see so many points that I was affected when I was doing talks at the beginning. For example, you edit this like have the water bottle, and I remember my first talk, I really ran out of like I couldn't anymore like talk properly because I think first I was talking too quick as I always do, and I really didn't breathe at all. Like when I finished, I felt like this. I didn't breathe for a long time, I felt, and then I was like dry mouth, and like I wish I had a bottle of water there. And now whenever we organize something, I always remember I should be the one putting bottle of water there in case somebody forgets. And yeah, all this like where you had this like page with like advice about for new speakers, it was all resonated with me. So I really appreciate this, refined information there.
I'm so happy it helps, and I'm so sorry that happened with the water, but I'm glad that you're able to help others with it now. I honestly remember something similar happening my first time too. I was not expecting that.
Yeah, like it's like there are like so many things could be taught, but there are these minor details, and you never notice until you do that. I also first time when I was giving a talk, I remember I thought I should be writing everything down and like learn everything that I will say, memorize everything. And I got so stressed because it didn't feel natural. I was thinking that I'm like talking like reciting a poem or something. And eventually I learned how to do the speaker notes efficiently that kind of makes sense to me. And by rehearsing all of it, it finally like, I managed to master it in a way that works. I also have a really terrible moment, like first time I was doing an English talk because my native language is Turkish. I made so long, like, I don't know, I made like maybe 60, 70 pages of slides for like 40-minute talk. And I was not able to finish it. It was such embarrassing. And I feel like people who didn't do talks assume that everybody on the stage, they like, they always were like doing good in their talks and always mastering it. But I had like so many failure points that happened to me. But then after a year or two giving many talks, then you just kind of forget that happened to you, and people forget even the first time that there were people there. And I felt feeling so embarrassed, but I learned later that they didn't feel it, even like why I was embarrassed. As you say, you are the one who knows it, not the audience. And audience naturally wants to support you because they picked you over other sessions. So they really want to be there, that their time was given for you, and because they choose you, so they want to be also getting most out of it. Somebody told me before when I was like stressed, and it stayed with me, like you should be like they are on your side. Don't worry about them not being on your side. So I think Bengisu has a question.
Yes, thank you very much for the event, for organizing this one. Actually, the timing of this event is perfect for me because I'm going to give a small talk on November in a Women in Tech event. And the topic will be like life of a coder. So I want to ask, like, do you have any tips for me? And the audience will be like kind of women probably interested in learning coding and such. It's not going to be a very deep technical thing, but yeah, I just wanted to ask if Sarah has some tips for me.
Thank you, Bengisu. Sarah, what would you say to Bengisu, who will give her talk in Women in Tech conference soon?
Hey, it's good to meet you. I'm sorry, I want to make sure I understand the question. I understood you're looking for tips, but what specifically are you looking for tips on? I'm sorry to make you reiterate.
No, it's fine. It's okay. So it's not going to be a very technical conference, but the the subject is like life of a coder. So basically, I will just share my personal experience, like what I'm doing, like technically, but the audience will be like non-technical, or like only women who are interested in the being a coder or something. I don't know. So yeah, I really don't know who will be in the audience.
Probably think of it as more of a high level overview. Like, how would you explain to, say, a family member looking to get involved in coding? Like, how would you explain what that lifestyle is like for them to figure out if it's a good fit? Maybe you could try icebreakers, actually asking questions like, what do you expect the life of a coder is like? You know, try and assess what their judgments are at the beginning of it, and try to move forward by explaining, like, this is what it's actually like. Like, maybe they think it's like the movies, right? It's behind the scenes, it's hacking at night with, you know, a dark terminal background and green text on the screen. You know, there's a lot of stereotypes people have about the life of a coder. So you can explain, you know, on a daily basis, you know, these are the types of products you touch, or the things you do on a day-to-day basis. And, you know, maybe a good deal of your time is actually spent on writing documentation and not code, or in quality assurance testing and not necessarily building something from the ground up. You know, I don't know what your day-to-day looks like, but you can, you know, if it's specific to your own experience, try to keep it just at a high level. Or if you're talking more about in general what the life of a coder is like, make sure to hit all those high level points of what that can look like, because it's not all just technical. There's other skills that you need to do to be a coder, like have communication and leadership, and be self-organized. And recommend any tools that you have for doing that too, like for task management, especially, or time management, or scheduling, or calendars and things like that. So people are aware of like some of the different tools that you might interact with on a day-to-day basis that makes your workflow easier. As well as maybe sharing any personal experiences you have where you might want to warn someone off and say, like, just so you know, this is something that could happen. Hopefully that answers your question. Sorry if it was a little bit of a ramble.
No, thank you very much. Those were like great tips that I will keep in my mind. Thank you.
Thank you for asking.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you, Sarah. It was really great answer. And I agree, like making it like something out of your experience, because your experience is always unique to you, even though sometimes when we write a blog post or give a talk offer, we think, yeah, this topic must be discussed so many times, and maybe it's not unique point of view, and how would they think? But then nobody actually went through the same career progress, same expertise, and same task even in the same positions that we do. We don't go through the same background, so it will be always unique to you. So anything that you experience, then that you can give a tip, and that I think that stays with people longer than sometimes we even imagine. And there is some comment from Nazlıhan. I think this isn't a question, but I'm so glad you attended and we had the opportunity to meet you. I am new in tech and I was having a lot of trouble with these issues. Thank you very much for letting us that are this normal and how can we solve them. And this Tesla, it was enjoyable. Thank you. And Nazlan wrote again, thank you for sharing feedback. And yeah, there are a lot of thanks. And are there any other questions? Otherwise, if there are no other questions, we will be talking about the mentorship program a little bit in detail. But I think we have more time for more questions, if there are any. If I missed anything in the chat, I guess not. Yeah. Okay. So maybe I can a little bit talk about the mentorship program that we will have. First, who are maybe Kadın Yazılımcı, because we are a big group of people. We started as like 6-7 developers 10 years ago. It will be 10 years of our blog in December. So it's when I say 10 years, it sounds like really like not like 10 years, but it has been. And we started as like getting together and discussing the issues that we will have. we have in the being a women in tech, and how that experiences united us in a way that we were thinking what we feel or what we encounter to is maybe just because of us, how we are, but then you notice that there is a system and you are part of the system. And sometimes it works for you, sometimes it doesn't. And there are biases that affects how women are treated from the beginning to the end. When you get hired, when you were supposed to be promoted, when you have more salary, maybe you will have to have raise. And even when you negotiate for your salary at the entering the position, and team dynamics, how your managers treat you, how you are treated when you become higher in ranks. So it's all actually a lifetime that everybody goes through in their career. But if you are in a group that are underrepresented in certain domains like tech, and if you also have extra stuff that comes with it, your background, that can be that some disability, your race, your gender, your sexual preference, all these things that can be out of norm, society considers, added to your what you have biases load in a way. And we noticed that how much information we put out there technically. Let's say we were going to tech conferences. I think in 1 year we visited like 40 conferences in Turkey, like different cities. We went to basically every city in every weekend, and because we had more time, we were all in Turkey. But then we noticed by the talking to people, it's not like only about getting technical information, but mostly about like what we do here today, like sharing experiences and proving that we are here. What Sarah said in the beginning, when we were going to open source conferences, she said that there were no women on stage. So what do you feel that way then? Okay, I'm here, but I'm not a norm, definitely. And it makes you like maybe I don't belong. And this is the topic that came each time we talked to women after the conferences and like speeches and panels that we made, that people coming to us, university students, we mainly targeted because that was the group that were inviting us to talk to. And they were all like, I feel late to this. I don't have like the skills that my other peers have, and I don't feel as confident. And when you pass some certain limit in career, you feel like you had all these worries and you passed it. And you are actually stronger than so many people that you thought they were stronger than you in abilities, in skills, and I don't know, everything. But there's a real thing that's happening that's affecting us, that we always doubt ourselves. And it's not about how we feel individually, it is collectively we feel that we are not enough. We can't be confident in this. So the more visibility that we currently aim here, the mentorship program will be tied to it. So the program is just the beginning of something that we were doing this overall 10 years. We did different things, that we were having an AI conference, for example, in August, sorry. But we keep doing these conferences, but we also focus on actually what we really think that is needed. And having more women talking, giving talks, proving their credibility, growing their network, that will eventually help new women entering the space, and the women who stays in the space getting more confident in general by knowing each other, by knowing what they can achieve. So I think that's the goal of the mentorship program, and at least one way of contributing to it. So what we plan, it will be 3 months roughly. I think we were thinking how we should handle it. At first, we will make a list of mentors that who are available for this program, and we will list which topics they can offer assistance. So let's say you want to talk about Postgres in some Postgres conference, you can just contact me, or you can choose me as a mentor. But when we have the applications, we will also ask you to feel what topics what are you interested, what you want to talk about. So we will match these people together, and we will expect them to commit to this program. And in the program, we will be first weeks we will be meeting, and then as how this talk actually going, I was really appreciating how Sarah put all the process together, because exactly what we planned, we'll be touching all the parts of this talk that Sarah give. So first week we were thinking after we talk, we will make a plan like how the mentor and mentee meets, how often they meet, what kind of methodologies that they will adopt. And the second week, possibly we will have like this list of topics that Sarah was saying, prepare your talk topics. Exactly, we will create these topics and then we will just have a feedback over it. And then the mentor maybe will, direct you to resources, how you can just approach these topics, and maybe you should read more, maybe you need this and that. And then after, when you refine those titles, you will get like maybe, let's say 5 of them in your abstract. So once you have your abstract, then you can actually find something like some engaging title. So once you have the abstract and title, you're almost ready. And then we will maybe find together, like the mentor and the mentee, how can you enter certain communities, investigating the meetups. And Sarah already shared like a lot of resources that we can actually use for Discord channels, Slack channels, maybe like all the meetup investigation. And then if we couldn't find anything at the beginning, because at the end of this program, we want the attendee to do at least one talk. So if we, let's say at the case that we couldn't find anything that is like accepting talk now, we could just have a Kadın Yazılımcı event and maybe, offer these new presenters to have a space to talk to. And yeah, and then afterwards we will do like how can you fill the CFP, and you need to prepare how to prepare your biography, like preparing your profile photos, contacts. So we prepare all these parts that are beside the actual talk. And then we will get some help for like how to do a presentation in a skillful way. What are the communication tactics? Hello. And prepare like the initial talk. And then for the 3-4 weeks, we will be talking about this talk, improving it, presenting it, and getting feedback. I hear somebody talking.
Yo, hello.
Hello, hi.
Hey, hello. What is this?
You are on the meeting that's about public speaking, and we are in the Q&A session. So we are talking about a mentorship program that we will be running as a group.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. And so yeah, it will take roughly 3 months. We wrote it like it took like 12 weeks. And after that, we assume that people will be joining to this program will be able to give a talk, or like it doesn't need to be that they don't need to give a talk beforehand, but they could be doing this and maybe they want to improve themselves just to discuss with these mentors. And we thought this as like a Turkish initiative, but then we noticed there is an interest, so we wanted to support. Some of us could, like myself, we speak English too, so we will offer if people want to be in this program, we will open possibly an English application and a Turkish application too, hopefully. And Sarah and my other friends and people from communities can support us as well, and hopefully we will be like making it more available eventually. This will be our first program, and I think there will be more of it. So we will keep doing it, I hope, for like as long as we get some mentors. And we will record this list. For example, this is being recorded. So it will be collecting our resources library so that we could actually share people who are starting by just they can watch this. Maybe we can translate this to Turkish, write blog post about it. Again, like having a starting point as a talk, and even when you are giving a talk, you can just produce so many materials around it and actually use it in different ways. So this is the mentorship program. And if you have any questions, you can contact Kadın Yazılımcı through our website, Twitter, community, and myself from all the social media accounts. And yeah. And some people joined just recently. If you have any questions, feel free to ask, but Sarah's talk already finished. Oh, Jesus, there's people who are actually... Okay. Are there any questions? Otherwise, I will be stopping the recording.
Yeah, it looks like I will not need to stop the recording here.
Okay.